A big story tomorrow is going to be the showdown at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the Trump versus Newsom case over whether President Trump can continue to control the National Guard in California. On Friday, I sat down with US Attorney Bill Essayli to find out how the Guard is being used right now. Are your folks being protected now by National Guard as they go out into the field?
Yes. Well, National Guard is doing a few things. They're, of course, protecting our facilities. That's
including
important.
The building we're in right now.
The building we're in now. They're protecting, obviously, downtown, our federal facilities. They are also teaming up with us in our operations. So when we go execute a search warrant, for example, the National Guard will deploy and set up an exterior perimeter to protect the agents so they can do their job. So they are now enmeshed into our operations, but their role is one of protection. They're not out there doing law enforcement activities yet.
You, I'm sure, heard when now Secretary Noem was governor of South Dakota. She was on with Sean Hannity about a year ago, saying that the concept of nationalizing the Guard from her state was a bad thing.
He actually was going to take control of our South Dakota National Guard and actually activate them so that they would not protect America.
What do you say to that? The people think that that's hypocrisy. That's what Governor Newsom said to me, that that's hypocrisy.
I wasn't aware of those statements. What I can tell you is I was here on the ground both Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday, our agents were overwhelmed. In downtown Los Angeles, they were surrounded by a very hostile crowd. They were barricaded inside a building, and we needed help from LAPD. Okay, and then our buildings at night were viciously attacked. They were almost able to breach them and go inside. They defaced our property. Saturday, you saw what happened in Paramount. We had hundreds of Border Patrol officers who had to fight this crowd for hours. They fought them for so long, we had to resupply them with munitions with 3 helicopters. Had to come in and resupply them. That was out of control. Both the sheriff and the LAPD said they are down officers. They cannot afford the resources to send all their officers used to protect us, because then no one's patrolling the streets. It's not a sustainable situation. So I'll just tell you, we needed the National Guard, and we're grateful they're here. Things, I think, are starting to calm down a little bit, and we're able to do our job without risk of harm. It's
possible you lose the National Guard on Tuesday. There's going to be a court hearing, we'll see, and it could go to the Supreme Court. It might not go on Tuesday. If you lost the National Guard, how does that impact you?
I don't think we're going to lose the National Guard. I actually think we're pretty good on the law. And even if we lost the National Guard, my understanding is that active military personnel can still be used.
What's next for you? Where do we go from here? In terms of operations, let's talk about the immigration operations. Because what are we looking at? I know you don't want to give out your whole playbook, but in terms of what should people be expecting?
Look, we were doing targeted immigration operations long before Friday. We've been doing them for weeks.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, and we're going to keep doing them. So I think what people can expect is we're going to continue those immigration enforcement operations. We're going to do our best to target and focus on those with criminal backgrounds and history. But now we have a new mission, which is to look into all the riots and the violence that occurred. We're collecting lots of video. We're working with FBI to identify key people that were committing violence. And we're going to be looking at charges, a lot of charges for people that were involved in those attacks.
It feels like we're at a moment, a sort of inflection moment in history when tensions are very high. What do you think we all can do to sort of bring the temperature down a bit?
Yeah, I think the political leaders of California need to turn down the temperature, because they are out there saying that our agents are somehow engaged in terrorism and committing terrorist activities, and they're saying they're getting the public emotionally worked up about what we're doing. We're forcing the law, and if we were violating the law, believe me, they would be the first ones in court to get a court order to stop us. So they have
they're trying to on certain things.
Well, and they're trying to certain things, and we can have those disagreements in court, but we should not have those disagreements on the streets with violence. You can peacefully protest, absolutely, but as soon as you cross in that line, that's unacceptable. And the politicians, I think, are stirring up people's emotions, like Mr. Padilla with his stunt. It was not helpful. I mean, he come here and to say, basically he was suggesting that he was arrested for asking a question. That's not what happened. So the Democrats are turning up the political temperature on this. I think they need to be more objective, and we need to have a better dialogue. Their grievance is with the law. They need to go talk to Congress if they don't like the law. But we don't get to pick and choose which laws to enforce. That's not my job. I'm not a politician anymore. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. I have to follow the law as it's written. They need to go change it.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just going to reemphasize that the federal government's here. We're not going away. There may be not a lot of consequences under the state system for engaging in the type of behavior we saw over the last week, but there are serious consequences on the federal system. So we really encourage people, go out, peacefully protest. Absolutely, we're going to actually defend your right to do that. Do not engage in violence, do not fight our officers, and do not get in our way.
Bill Essayli, thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
By the way, as we were airing that, some breaking news. Homeland Security just put out new guidance, reversing last week's guidance, and now allowing once again their agents to conduct immigration raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants. For a moment, President Trump discouraged that after talking to some of his donor friends, but now apparently that guidance is back, so they can go back into farms, hotels, and restaurants.